Episode 2 of the Thursday Free podcast. I'm joined by Harvey Hinkler, Tyler Jewers and Adam Gill. This week's episode we've got loads to look forward to, including England's 0-0 draw with Croatia, the victorious 3-2 win over Spain, and some general Nations League chat. And then the second half of the show we'll be discussing Newcastle's upcoming game against Brighton, must win that, Sunderland's game against Shrewsbury away, and we'll be finishing with another roundup of the general domestic Premier League action and also the Football League action. Bit of Shrewsbury talk, not Shrewsbury, sorry, Sheffield United talk from Harvey. So we'll just start off obviously with England's Nation League fixtures. Guys, that game on Friday night against Croatia, it was a bit of a non-event, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it wasn't helped by the lack of fans due to the obviously the sanctions to play behind closed doors. I thought England had the better of the game, but there was not really much going on. It wasn't one to remember now.
If you wanted to go to, if you wanted something easier off to sleep, that's definitely something you'd put on the telly, wouldn't it be?
It was a weird game.
Yeah,
it was very strange. Not having fans there.
No,
I don't think any team really done much. It was just such a dull game.
Yeah,
I think it's just one of those games that nothing happens, and it's just...
Yeah, and I wouldn't read too much into it. But like I said at the start, obviously a bit of a non-event. I wouldn't read too much into it. I'd just put a line through the game altogether. I tell you what, mind, I don't know why they didn't let England fans. I mean, Croatia have obviously, they've got not a great reputation for being racist and stuff like that, but I don't see why the England fans couldn't have been let in.
It's because some of the funds from tickets would have gone to the Croatian FA, and it's more a sanction against them, isn't it? So if they get money from it, then it's better to just have it not stadium ban, but behind closed doors altogether. But credit to the England fans that actually went and watched it from the,
that was awesome,
from the trees.
Yeah. But nevertheless, we stayed unbeaten, and we went into the Spain game on Monday night. Not expecting. I mean, what were you guys expecting?
Lose. I thought we'd lose.
I thought we'd give it a game.
Yeah, I thought we got a draw at least, but I was quite surprised.
I just thought they'd beat us at Wembley, and I just thought with Luis Enrique, they just looked a much better outfit.
Yeah.
Like, I think in the second half they showed how good they could be. But yeah, it's not that I don't have faith in the England team. Like, Gareth Southgate is probably the most well-supported England manager in I don't even know how long, but yeah, I was a bit pessimistic going into the game. That's probably just my natural sense of supporting England.
Probably since Bobby Robson.
Yeah.
Obviously, they proved the pessimistic ones wrong with a terrific 3-2 victory over Spain. It was fair to say it was a game of two halves. That first half was the best I've seen in my lifetime from an England perspective, better than the World Cup games. People said that we couldn't score from open play. Well, we banged 3 goals in there that really just diminished that statement totally. The discipline was showed in the second half, I thought, was terrific. It just shows that we can do both sides of the job. Adam, what did you make of that on Monday night?
I thought it was a good win for England. First half, very good performance. I've got to say, I love Dyer's tackle on Ramos.
It was great to see him get some retribution.
Yeah, set the tone for the game for the first half. But as I say, the chances were hard and took them very clinical. And, 2 goals conceded bit unlucky, but
Yeah.
I think it was a good win all round.
And Tyler, did you see the game?
Watch the highlights of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just terrific, wasn't it?
I
Who
heard
wa-
there was Southgate played a new system as well. It was different. in the World
Yeah, I
Cup.
remember him saying before the game we have to adapt.
He went away from the 5 at the back, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was a 4-3-3, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
4-3-3.
4-3-3.
It was terrific. The one word that comes into my head when I watch that game was refreshing, because
It was
we
so
scored
good.
3 terrific goals from open play. Harry Kane scored well without played well without scoring. The hold-up play that he contributed was fantastic, especially for the second Sterling goal, which was the third England goal. Again, I go back to it. The potential that this England side has for the next major tournament, Euro 2020, is frightening. Hopefully, I think that will be our tournament. I know France are a frightening opposition. And it won't be in France. Where is Euro 2020?
It's across Europe, but the final's
It is
going to be
yes,
at Wembley.
yes.
Yeah.
Final's going to be at Wembley, so that'd be nice.
That game as well totally opposed my view that the Nations League was a waste of time. I remember saying last week that I didn't buy into it at all, and I thought it was a load of rubbish. But that was like watching I remember Jamie Carragher saying it was like a semi-final or a quarter-final of a Champions League game. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I put a tweet out saying, "Do you know what, this Nations League lot might actually not be that bad after all?" Because I was one for slating it constantly.
Yeah.
It's just the concept of it, but that I think I was proved wrong a bit with that game.
And are we all happy to see that Raheem Sterling silenced the doubters?
Oh, finally, yeah, because I think he has been given the hardest treatment out of any England player in the media for someone who's not really done that much wrong in a very long time. Like, yeah, Rooney and Beckham got a lot of stick when their things happened, but they got sent off. They did something that directly harmed the England team, whereas Raheem Sterling has lived his life and been criticised and scrutinised for it
Purposely, as well.
Yeah, purposefully,
Yeah.
definitely purposefully. It wouldn't happen, like, I hate to send it into no social thing, but if it was like recently, Phil Foden was very much praised, rightly so, for buying his mum a house
Yeah, I've
after
seen
getting a
that,
new
yeah.
contract. But when Raheem Sterling did it, the headlines would read, "Oh,
180 grand a week
100
flop.
yeah.
Buy his mum
Yeah.
mansion in Cheshire.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, and where's Primark clothes? Who cares?"
Yeah.
But no, I was so glad to see first goals for England in 3 years. A terrific performance from him. He's always had the ability there. I think he was a little bit off in the World Cup, but I'm so glad he
Such a
silenced the
good finish.
doubters. Oh yeah, the first goal
Oh my
took it
God.
incredibly.
What did
First
you?
2 goals.
Yeah.
yeah.
All three. All three.
Oh, all three.
Let's just-
Great goals. Great goals.
What did we think of the new guys? Obviously, that came in. Yeah, I think Chilwell. I know he did the least visually entertaining job to watch, but out of all the new guys that were called up, I know Mason Mount didn't really get a proper opportunity, but Jadon Sancho came on Friday. You had who else was
James Maddison got called
James
up.
Maddison? Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't really
No, I
see
didn't
him.
feature, but he got.
And you had Ben Chilwell and was it Lewis Dunk or Chris Dunk?
Lewis Dunk. He
yeah.
got called up from James Tarkowski's injury. Didn't he?
I thought Ben Chilwell was personally the most successful out of all of those new guys. I don't know about yous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he played really well against Spain. Thought he had a terrific game.
Can you see him turn that left back position into his own if he carries on like this?
I mean, he has at Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think he
can
can.
see it.
He hasn't got much competition though, has he?
I think
Ashley Young and Danny Rose.
Well,
I think by the time of the next competition,
Euro 2020.
yeah, I think it could be his.
yeah, he'll probably coming to age.
Like you say, Taylor, that was probably the one area in the World Cup where you looked and thought that is an area where we lack genuine quality, because I think Ashley Young was probably the oldest player in the squad.
Yeah.
Which told at times when his pace seemed to
Yeah, we just didn't have
be
the
exposed.
equivalent of Trippier on the other side. Did
yes,
we?
yeah,
Trippier had a perfect blend of physicality and
Pace.
technical ability.
Yes. And to be honest, Ashley Young's performances. I mean, you've got Danny Rose as well, but Ashley
I'm not
Young's
saying Liverpool.
Ashley Young's performances
yeah.
for Man United of late do not warrant a
No.
national
No.
space in the national team. just some general Nation League chat, Nations League chat. Got there in the end. The misery for Germany continues. How pleasing is it? Let's not try and be too bitter here. But how good is it to see them going through some misery? Obviously, they were beaten 3-0 by Holland, who are on the up under Ronald Koeman, and 2-1 by World Cup winners France. It is entertaining to see them go through a bit
I
of.
thought they were unlucky against France.
Yeah.
I think Greece and penalty.
What's wrong there? Do you think
you
Joachim Löw? I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Needs to go, or
It's a weird one because he's had a lot of success with Germany. Obviously won the World Cup 2014. He's gotten to semi-finals pretty much any tournament he's been in other than the most recent World Cup. Maybe he's outstayed his welcome. Maybe his time is running out because I think it is a time where youth in German football is becoming more prevalent with Timo Werner and Leroy Sané, and is he capable of managing those players the same that he managed the so-called old guard that got him to so many tournament finals, like Thomas Muller and Toni Kroos and these sort of players, Jerome Boateng, and these new players coming through pushing the ranks? I think he might be a bit too stubborn to stick with what he knows, and I think something that supports that is he didn't call up Leroy Sané for the World Cup, which everyone thought was a baffling decision because he got Young Player of the Year for Man City for the Premier League because he did such a good job for Man City. It was shocking that it wouldn't get called up for Germany even if they were considered one of the best teams in the world.
Have you guys seen as well that when Germany lose, they put the scoreline on like their social media platforms and a background of a player, and I've seen that when they win, it's like Muller, Kroos, going back a few years, Gomez were the players like and jubilantly looking like it was a photo of them in the background, and then when they lose, they've got a picture. They used. There's a lot of people saying that Özil was used as a scapegoat before he retired, and now Sané for both the France and the Holland games were used in that background. Do you think that is a problem?
It sends off
There's been a lot of controversy around the way that they treat certain players.
Yeah, because Özil was very public in the way he was displeased. He was displeased with what's going on. And
he felt like there was some racism going involved.
Yes, and I think there's a lot of merit to that statement with what's been said, with the evidence that he's brought forward for it as well. So, and I think the Leroy Sané thing as well is a player that was unfavoured by Joachim Löw, so it doesn't really give out. I don't know if it's intentional, but it doesn't really give out the best message.
Adam, if Löw was to go, this is part of the problem. If he was to go, and I'm of the opinion that national teams should be managed by a manager of their own nation. Apart from Klopp, I can't think of a good German manager.
Yeah, I can't think of many German managers of a high calibre apart from Klopp and Löw.
I think they'd have to dip into the Bundesliga to have a look because I'm struggling to remember his name.
What about him that manages Hoffenheim?
I was just about to say him. That's
I'm
what
not
I was
sure if
talking
he's.
about. I was struggling to remember his name.
Nagelsmann.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
That's the
Julian
one.
Nagelsmann.
Yeah, I think he'd probably be the best bet. He's young, and he's had a few really good seasons at Hoffenheim.
And what about the guy that Thomas Tuchel? Is he not? Julian Nagelsmann's German. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I personally, I know he's not experienced, and he hasn't managed that calibre of player before.
He's got them into the Champions League.
He is going to get that.
Yeah.
Well, Hoffenheim, but they haven't got any real big ego stars, have they? Like Germany have got the likes of Boateng, Kroos, Sané.
You could say the same about Gareth Southgate. Like Gareth Southgate, he had managing experience. He had more managing experience, and yes, he worked with some of the players that came up during the youth ranks when he was.
He's not a big name,
under 21s in England. But Gareth Southgate was never a big managing name. He managed Middlesbrough for a while, did a decent enough job, and with the England youth setup, he always did a good job. But when he was managing those players, they weren't big names. They didn't have time to have the big egos in the under 21s. And I think he demands that same respect when he goes up to the national side, for the first team side even.
In opposition to that point, and obviously Taylor, Adam, I'd love to hear what you think as well. You could argue that this England side he's taken over has nowhere near the egos that the likes of and I'm not saying they had egos, but Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney, Ferdinand, that era, they were a lot more, like, because they were playing for such big teams at the time, they were a lot more.
That had egos at the same age as these players do, though.
Yeah, I do.
I think it was
The likes of Ben Chilwell, Harry Maguire, Kieran Trippier,
I think it's
Eric Dyer. They've all came from like a background that I think they haven't been able to develop an ego. So
probably because I haven't had that sort of golden boy status above the head the whole time when they've been on the scene.
It was because Lampard, Rooney, Gerrard era, it was the golden generation, like, so they called it.
Inverted commas.
Inverted commas golden generation, who didn't really do anything, but as individuals they were absolutely quality players, like John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, just these quality players in a national side, and we don't have that now, because you think about them, they all played for your Chelseas, your Man United, your Liverpools. Like, it was those like big sides, but now some of our more key players, like say Harry Maguire and Ben Chilwell, they're at Leicester, mid-table club, but they're two of our most key players.
It works better though.
Yeah, Jordan Pickford's at Everton. Like, it's we don't have that many. We don't have the hefty majority of high-profile club players like we did in them years, which is what put them on such a pedestal and give them such that ego. Because Harry Maguire and Ben Chilwell have still got so much more to work for because they're not at the top.
I mean, guys, I'll go to you, Adam. How do you think that this will last? How long do you think the likes of these great players we've got, your Harry Maguire's, like Ben Chilwell, Tarkowski, how long do you think it is until they start moving to your Man United, your Man Cities, your Chelseas, and that ego starts to form?
Not sure. I mean, some of them might never move to a top club.
Do you not see Man United going in with another bid for Maguire next summer?
I could see them going in for a bid, but it's whether Maguire wants to go to Man United. I mean, yes, Man United are a top club, but it might not be the best move for his career. It might be better off going to another team, like the state Man United are in at the minute.
Yeah, they're not an attractive proposition.
Yeah,
still Man United though.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what position they're in. If Man United are wanting me and I was a player, I'd be wanting to go there because it's the biggest club, especially in England, if not the world.
How long do you keep saying that for? I'm not having to go at you, but like I've heard so many people say that over the last, like when the drama's been going on Mourinho. But how long do you actually keep saying? And I hate it, but the biggest, they're a brand. They're such a big brand that they're the biggest club in football. Yeah, no, they were the biggest club in football. But how? The longer Mourinho stays there, and I don't want to get onto the Mourinho thing again, but the longer he stays there and damages their reputation, how long can you continue to call them the biggest club in the world?
Until they stop winning.
Well, they have.
Well, yeah, they have.
For one season.
Well,
last season had its. I know they finished second.
Well, they
within
finished
all
second,
these since Ferguson, they've still been consistently winning trophies.
I wouldn't. Yeah, but it's not the trophies that Man United would expect.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but like
a Man United fan expects, and rightly or wrongly, just from the way they've been under Sir Alex Ferguson and managers before that, they expect to be competing in Europe at the top level, winning the domestic league near enough every season, and yeah, they've got a couple of cups here and there under Mourinho, and they've got a cup under Van Gaal as well, but it's not been anywhere near the standard that it was under Ferguson, which it might be unrealistic to expect that, but then again, Mourinho is a manager who's won titles in the Premier League, so
yes, you'd expect it.
Yeah, so Man United fans are like, okay, why can't he do it for us?
If you could offer a Man United fan one Premier League in how many? It's been.
It was 2013.
5 years since Fergie's left. If you'd offer them one Premier League or what 2 FA Cups and a League Cup since he's left, I'd be pretty confident they'd rather have the Premier League.
Oh yeah, 100%. They'd rather have that one Premier League. But I think what Ferguson did with that squad in his last season was unreal. It was, when you look back on it now, that was not a squad. That was not a squad that should be winning.
It wasn't just in that last season, to be honest. Like when I'm trying to think of the team he played against Barcelona when on the night Barcelona played Man United off the park at Wembley. But to even get into that position, you look now and you think like
at that
He
point,
was brilliant
It's
at
like he's putting a
getting-
cheat code for a game.
yeah.
yeah,
It was silly.
that
That squad wouldn't get in the top 4.
No, it was just
Just mind winning the title.
Van Persie and Rooney were the like focal point of that team, but like Ferguson's management was such a reason that they got. And I think he was just, you had to perform under Ferguson,
Yeah,
Or you
otherwise
wouldn't play.
You wouldn't play.
You wouldn't
You'd be
play.
out the door.
Whereas now you see all this about Pogba and Mourinho being
But
like,
at the time as well, I think the players.
This is
when he's pressurising them, they probably. The attitude was, if you don't play up to the level that I expect you to play at,
You're
you're
out.
gone.
Yeah.
And the players wouldn't want that because at the time, United are probably the biggest club in
Yeah.
the world,
Right.
apart from Madrid.
but I
I've
think
just-
Ferguson helped uphold that status.
Yeah.
I'll read this team out, right. I've got the 2012, 2013, and I don't know how we've got onto Manchester United again. Like we're doing these podcasts from international football,
God,
but
they're gonna love it.
it is an interesting subject, so I'll just quickly go over it. Obviously, they had De Gea in goal. He was their number one. But then you look at the defence. Alex Butner done nothing.
That was a Ferguson sign.
Johnny
He
Evans.
scored in that 5-5 against West Brom.
Yeah, the non-event.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
love that game.
Johnny Evans. He
does a job.
He does
That's
a
what
job,
he's
but again, you couldn't see him now
No.
at a top club.
No,
Patrice Evra, decent. He was in his prime then.
I think he was
I
still.
think he was coming out with it.
Yeah, I think
Same
he
with
was in his
Ferdinand.
30s. He was in his 30s.
Rio Ferdinand, again, a great player. Phil Jones, done nothing since then, and he continues to look out of his. I'm not going to personally slate the lad, but he continues to look out of his depth.
Yeah,
Michael Keane
was a kid.
was a kid, yeah, and to be honest, he's done very well at Burnley and Everton. Raphael,
One half.
I
of the
think
twins.
Ferguson managed to get
The best he
wonders
could.
with him, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Smalling, again, I put him in that Phil Jones category. Vidic was probably the best defender they had.
Yeah.
Midfielders, Anderson,
No.
Carrick, excellent player. Cleverly went to Watford, mediocre.
Never really worked out for him, did it?
Darren Fletcher,
To be fair,
He was
suffered
there
from a really bad illness.
yeah, but he was
At the end
in
of-
there like that 2006-7 season to
Yeah.
around like that
He was
2012.
consistent.
He was so consistent. Ryan Giggs obviously speaks for himself. Yanazai, disappointing.
He didn't really. come-
Kagawa, disappointing. Lingard's
Kids.
been excellent. Well, he was a kid then, but he's gone on to
Powell's
do excellent. Nick Powell, I don't know what he did.
He's at Wigan now.
Yeah. Paul Scholes, obviously brilliant. Valencia's still there.
See, Paul Scholes, that was a weird one because I remember halfway through that season they had an injury crisis in midfield.
Not the
So
recall.
he had to convince. He had to convince Ferguson had to convince Scholes to come out of retirement. That's what in a state they were in, and they still won the league.
Yeah. So we're just being testament to Alex Ferguson's management skills there.
I know. God.
For those who are listening very, very, very intensely, you would have heard the groans of Tyler's stomach go back.
I think it's going to be a weekly thing, isn't it?
It probably is, yeah.
We should have a jingle for it.
It'll be a Christmas special. That'll just be the jingle.
We are going to go for a break now at the halfway stage, and when we come back, we're going to be talking domestically. Newcastle, Sunderland. Make sure to come. Right, we are back with part 2. We've had some technical difficulties.
Teething problems.
So, the second half of this podcast, we will be going over the domestic football and just some general sport. We've also, I've put out a tweet asking for listeners' questions, so hopefully we will get some juicy questions for our panel to answer. I'm currently working on trying to get some high-profile questions, which isn't easy at 12 o'clock. 10 to 2, sorry, on a Thursday afternoon. But let's get into it, chaps. Come on, where's the enthusiasm? Newcastle versus Brighton this Saturday. This is a huge game, probably the biggest game of Newcastle's season so far. But what I want to know, are we going to get the 3 points?
Yeah, I think you will.
Yeah.
I think it's crucial that you do.
I think you should.
The Sunderland fan
Yeah.
can comment as well.
I'm going to say no. I think
Oh, there's a surprise.
Brighton to win 2-1. Last minute winner.
Do you see you're taking the lead?
Yes. Then last 10 minutes you'll crumble. Corner last minute. And dunk. Towering header. Just
Glenn
in
Murray.
the net.
Glenn Murray. Yeah.
Glenn Murray.
Obviously, they've got the Mags have got quite an easy run of fixtures. Well, not easy. I need to stop saying that. They've got an easier run of fixtures than has been the case since the start of the season. If you look at the fixture list, the next 6 games are Brighton at home, Southampton away, Watford at home. Sorry, the next 5 games are Brighton at home, Southampton away, Watford at home, Bournemouth at home, and Burnley away. In past seasons, I would have looked at that and gone 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 points there. But this season, I can see us getting... while I look, what do you guys think?
9-point return.
9 points?
9 points?
You should be hoping for.
You should be hoping for it, but realistically...
You should, well, and it might sound a bit of a stretch for the squad that you've got, but you've had a hard start to the season with the teams that you've played against, but that's really from those games what you should be wanting, 9 points, because there are some winnable games in there, including this Saturday, and this Saturday needs to be the start of that. You need to win this Saturday.
I think Houghton will come up and just set up not to lose, though. Personal pride. He's got a good team. I'd fancy you to beat Southampton if it was at home, but not at St Mary's.
They're still not that strong, though.
Yeah, they're still pretty dire, them.
They gave Chelsea a good game for the opening, once actually, well, I wouldn't say they gave them a good game, but the first 25-30 minutes before Chelsea scored, they did have some concrete chances.
They've got liveliness.
In that respect, though, you nearly beat United, and you gave virtually all the top 6 you played so far a good game.
Yeah.
I think you're better than Southampton.
I don't
Brighton,
know. I wouldn't say you've got better players than Southampton. You've got a much better manager than Southampton.
Yeah.
Which, again, same as last season, that's going to keep you up this year if you do stay up, is the manager. Because you have got one of the worst squads in the league. There's no beating around the bush about it. But you've got one of the highly skilled managers in the league, which goes a long way.
The only 2 teams I see us actually getting points off for the rest of the season is Cardiff at home. Yes, it was a tight game when we played them away. At home, I can see we're getting 3 points off them. Huddersfield, I can see we're beating them at home again. I don't see we're getting anything off them away. But along with those 2, that's who I think we will go down with. I still think we're going to get relegated.
It's a bit early. I don't know.
And I think after, I always think that after the international break, this, because when we're in, school, this would be half term, next week, or this coming weekend would be we break up on a Friday, and I always thought October half term was when it got serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it doesn't, the season, and that might sound stupid because the season didn't end until May, but this is when the real markers are laid down, and I'm talking from the top of the league right to the very bottom. You see, and teams start to pull away from the bottom 3, or you can point out who you think is going to be involved in the relegation battle. And similarly at the top of the league, I mean, you can do that already at the minute, but you look at Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, and obviously Chelsea are going to come up against United this Saturday. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but I always think this point in the season is where it really starts to get interesting.
Yeah, I think I don't think you're just being overly pessimistic thinking that you've got a very big chance of going down, because you do.
Yeah. I'm a realist.
Yeah, you are. You're a realist, not a pessimist. But yeah, I think you are starting to see what teams are probably going to be floating around that bottom 6 around this time.
Yeah.
Who's going to be fighting to stay up, and Newcastle are going to be one of those teams. But it is, if you can pick points up off the teams around you, who's also going to be in that fight in the bottom 6, which gives you the biggest chance of staying up. And Brighton might not be that this season, but still, a game against a mid-table team like Brighton at home is where you're thinking, right, if we cannot lose these games, maybe you won't win, but you cannot lose those games.
But this Saturday is the biggest game at St James's Park since probably, I honestly can't think of a bigger game, because in previous seasons you'd think at this stage of the season you'd be guaranteed to at least get a win by the end of October.
You're going to be thinking that for every home game for the rest of the season, though, because this is where your points have got to go.
Yeah, the longer this goes on for, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking about it not on the podcast, but last week to you, Taylor, that the sooner we get the win, the less the pressure will come off. I mean, the ownership situation is a different thing, and again, I don't want to get into that, but the sooner we get that 3 points, that will be... Oh, there goes the drop phone. That will be such a lift for the squad. I mean, personally, I think the team spirit is pretty good considering how atrocious of the start of the season has been. So I don't think team spirit's an issue. But once we get them 3 points, I think we'll be okay. But it's just getting the 3 points.
It's getting them from somewhere.
It's
I
crucial.
think you can get them from Brighton.
Yeah, it's
If you get them from
crucial to get
Brighton,
it's crucial to get the points like so early on, because you can't leave it too late to start winning.
That's why I look at Watford and like, obviously, what did they win the first 4?
They had a very good start to the
I'm
season,
sure they won the
didn't
first
they? 3 or 4
games, and they're like 25%. Well, not I wouldn't say it, but they're almost 25% of the way to survival, like at the start of the season. So the way the fixture list, obviously, I don't want to keep bringing up excuses, but the way the fixture list panned out has been unlucky. But we should have got something out of the Cardiff game, and the Leicester performance was unacceptable. I've put an accumulator on for this weekend, and it's only a £1 accumulator, but I'm that cautious of Newcastle that I've always bet on them before, but you look like I will tell you, I have had Chelsea to beat Manchester United, both teams to score, Bournemouth to win, City to win, Spurs to win, Wolves to beat Watford at home, Liverpool to win away at Huddersfield, Everton to beat Palace at home, and Arsenal to win half-time, full-time against Leicester. In previous seasons, I would have put Newcastle in without even thinking about it, because but this is the worst Newcastle side I have ever seen.
Is it worse than McLaren? Yeah.
Yes, because we still had Mitrovic, who
you
scored goals.
You had Wijnaldum, yeah.
We had Wijnaldum.
You had the players then, didn't you? But you just didn't have the
Janmaat.
stuff.
I think that's all.
Tyler, what's your phone? I think you had a better squad in that year, but you've got a better manager now. I keep bringing up Rafa Benitez and how he is key to your survival, but I think you've still got some Premier League quality players, but it's just getting them to perform on a it's getting them to perform on a consistent basis. Like Shelvey, he's definitely a Premier
Lascelles
League.
and Shelvey are the only two, I think.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Dubravka, maybe?
Yes, sorry, 3.
Muto, he's still got time to prove himself, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't had much of a chance.
But he scored against Man United. I think Kennedy
looks like
I think Kennedy's inconsistent.
He is inconsistent, but when he's on it, he's definitely a Premier League talent.
That Manchester United game was like his best game for us so far this season, because when he first started, I kept on mistaking him for Rondon, because he's put a lot of beef on, like muscle wise. And that Cardiff game was just an absolute. It was diabolical the way he went on, like trying to. He genuinely couldn't get past players, so he was trying to do Maradonas and get past 3 or 4.
Missed
Past 3 players. Missed the penalty. He had a shot and start the season, and he was a shadow of the player that we got on loan from Chelsea last season. But like I say, apart from Lascelles and Shelvey and Dubravka, who I think is the most underrated player in the league, I don't think we've got much of a chance.
It's always nice to be optimistic. I'll counter your. I'll call it realism. I'll stick a tenner on Newcastle this weekend, just if they do win, we'll both be happy.
Bad choice.
I'll take a tenner on Sunderland as well, don't worry.
Just some team
Good choice.
Just some team news ahead of the game this weekend. Dummett is back. He's available. Clark, Lejeune, and Rondon all still out. And there was one player. Who was it? Who won't be back in time?
Rondon.
No. It escapes my name, but I will get back to you. Looking to the other half of the river, Sunderland go away to Shrewsbury. Our man Adam Gill here is going down there representing the Thursday Free podcast. Adam, how excited are you?
I'm very
that
excited.
Long journey.
The journey's not actually as long as I thought it'd be. 4 hours on the train to get down to Shrewsbury, but I'm excited for the game. Game we should win, and I hope we'll win. You know,
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
yeah, it would be.
Always helps.
Yeah, always helps to get 3 points away from home. Good away day.
You're still in that promotion. Well, you obviously, I think you will be throughout the season. You're in the playoffs now. in and around like teams like Peterborough, Barnsley, and I think Shrewsbury's a place where they are doing all right this season, but they're a team that's there for the taking if you're going to be finishing at the top end this season.
Yeah. If we want promotion, we're going to have to beat these teams that we play.
Sorry to interrupt, I'll just quickly go back to that team news they're on. Apart from what I said, Dummett is back, Clark, Lejeune, Rondon all still out. I did think there was one more player who I was missing, but I'm right what I've mentioned. There's no other fresh injury concerns. Just go back to Sunderland.
But yeah, I think Josh Madge has been a big part for you this season. I think if he can get firing on a consistent basis, which he has been, I think you'll probably have a much better chance of getting promoted than most of the squad. He seems to be the most informed striker in that division at the minute.
Yeah, I think the size of the squad that we have gives us the best chance out of most teams in the division. You look at smaller teams in the division who don't have the resources to go through, say, like December, through all the games. Unlike Sunderland, Portsmouth, Barnsley, where we've got players, competition to rotate, who can actually challenge and win every game. And I think that's given we're at an advantage at the minute.
How disappointed were you that the Blackpool game was called off?
I was a bit disappointed, but it happens. So it'll get rearranged and we'll win, so it's fine.
Shall we just come back to this when they lose 3-2? On a wet Tuesday night.
Just cut that in.
We'll just keep that clip.
The hard months are still to come in the Football League. You've a lot to learn, says the Newcastle fan. I haven't been around to really experience any real Football League. In fact, I'll give the listeners your Twitter handle, Harvey, because for avid Football League fans, those that aren't enticed like I am to the commercialised Premier League and obsessed with it, I'll give you Harvey's Twitter handle because he's the man to follow for the Football League knowledge.
You're too kind.
You're trying to say that the Football League's like non-league.
What?
There's no money in it.
Oh yeah, there's money in it. It's just
Right. It is at and then underscore all of this Harvey HARVEY underscore Hinkler HINKLER. Make sure you give him a follow. He's only got 103 followers, bless him.
get some rate points in Scrabble. That.
I get a plug-in.
Who's going to plug everyone's Twitter now?
We haven't had any questions off any.
We'll do it at the end.
Any people there, so I was hoping to get to them, but that doesn't look too promising at this stage of the podcast.
Get when we're a few weeks in, we'll have thousands of fans.
Yes.
Or tens of fans.
Adam,
10,000 weeks.
what time are you setting off for that Shrewsbury trip? Shrewsbury trip.
Easy for you to say.
I am getting a train from Durham at 5 to 8, I believe.
Oh well, that's not bad. 3 o'clock get off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've got to go across, get the train down to York, switch from York to Manchester, and switch from Manchester to Shrewsbury.
I just think it's important. I just ask Adam that because you're really getting the insight from what it's like on an away day for a real fan. You know, who's devoted to go and watching his football team wherever they play. I just think that was really important to touch on. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
I think giving the listeners that insight.
Yeah, I think it is an important thing because you can sit and listen to people who just sit on the telly and watch it and don't bother with the games.
They don't live in the real world.
Yeah, they don't live the atmosphere. They don't live the actual experience. And for someone like Adam who travels to every away game that he can in a grubby division like League One. And that's not an insult. I know what it's like. I've done it as well. I've done the 7-hour trips to Yeovil. It's not pleasant, but it's an experience, and I think it is good to have that perspective when we're talking about Premier League, and then switch to that. I think it is good to have that.
I know I normally cane Newcastle on here, but I must give them just a pat on the back along with Watford. I seen this yesterday that they announced a reciprocal pricing agreement while we're talking about away games. Watford and Newcastle have announced a reciprocal pricing agreement for away fans for their Premier League fixtures. So for adults, they've put a cap on it. No matter who they play, no matter where it is, it'll cost adults £25, students and over 65 £17, under 18s £11, and disabled fans only have to pay 50% of whatever age bracket they fit in. So I think that's a very, very good initiative and one that should be followed by all clubs. And
Yeah, it's very keen
Yeah, it's good.
consumer friendly, isn't it?
pardon?
Consumer friendly.
Oh, I thought you said, I thought you said humour friendly.
Humour friendly.
Yeah, so I just wanted to cover North East football for the second half of this podcast, but we like to cover general sport as we are diverse people here. We've got a general range of sports that we like other than football. Did anyone see the contract that Canelo Alvarez has been put on with DAZN?
It is absolutely ridiculous.
The highest, isn't it the biggest sports contract
yeah.
ever?
Yeah.
$365 million for 11 fights.
He's earning 200k a day. Imagine the amount of Freddos you could get for 200k a day. Jesus,
After Brexit
spilling out your
alone.
cupboards.
Hang on a minute. I'll set you off on a question and I'm going to do some...
Yeah, we're not talking
Right.
like absolute inflation days of 60p
Right.
that we're living in now. No, 20p Freddos.
Right, but just going back to that, obviously he's fighting Rocky Fielding. What if you were Rocky Fielding going into that Canelo fight, and he's I say he's just signed a contract for $365 million for 11 fights? What's your mindset?
Got something to prove. You've got something to prove in the fact that, all right, I'm fighting the highest paid athlete in the world, and if I beat him, I can go, okay, why am I not the highest paid athlete in the world if I can go in and knock him out or just beat him on points or outbox him? So I don't know about you, Tyler. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah.
Very versed in boxing.
I'm not a big boxing fan. So
But I do
anything
think
about
it's
it,
just... I think boxers always have a point to prove, but in that sort of situation, I reckon, like, I think it's in any team. It's like when you see a cup draw in football, I know we always talk about football to bring it back, but when Man United played, I remember a few years ago, Crawley got drawn away to Man United whilst they were still a non-league side, and they gave him a right go. They gave him a really good game because they've got something to prove. And if you're against the biggest or the richest, I feel like in any sport, and boxing especially when it's such an individual talent, you've got so much to prove going into that fight.
I'm back with the Freddo results. For on £365 million a year, right? This is the first one. You could get 73 million Freddos you could buy for 1 year.
Jesus.
So for £200,000 a day for your kids' packed lunches, you could get, quick mathematics here, you hear the click of the mouse, 20 pence times 200,000 equals 40,000 Freddos a day.
How many calories is that?
How many calories? I'm not even going to go in.
Oh, when
Do you reckon Canelo is going to give his kids some Freddos out of all that?
I mean, he best do.
Yeah,
If he don't, at least he's got a game of Kinder Egg. If not,
yeah,
one of the two. Yeah,
Or
twist.
twist.
Yeah, he's got to treat him somewhere.
yeah.
Buy some Action Man cards. That's what I got.
Yeah. So, as we draw to a close, we always like to, well, in the first edition of the podcast, we drew it to a close with quite, I thought it was a nice way to end the podcast, sort of talking about what we're up to this weekend and just general chit chat, really. So, I'm going to go. I think we've adopted a more conversational tone to the podcast, which I don't know. I'll ask. Please drop your thoughts in the comments section about whether you preferred this or a sort of organised questions to each of the panel. I'll go to Harvey first, though. What are you up to this weekend, Harvey?
Well, after last time we were out, I went back home and watched The Blades, as I love to do. But this weekend it's more of a reverse. My family's coming up to see me. I'm going to spend the day in Newcastle. Going to watch top of the league Sheffield United, may I add, on telly. Sorry. Seeing Arsenal next season though, Tyler.
You see me next season.
Nah, we'll not go up. But still, we'll find a bar in Newcastle where on Sky at Frank Lampard's Derby counter. So we'll go and watch that game.
I don't rate your chances particularly high for trying to get that Sky game on with Liverpool. I will go. Brighton, I'll get this. Whatever odds you get, please tell us, and I'll put the same tenner at the same price that you go into Newcastle and watch Sheffield on a Saturday tea time.
Sheffield
Yeah,
United,
where are you gonna
stop
find
calling
that?
it Sheffield. But yeah, I'm not going to find it. I'm going to be getting my Sky Go up on my phone and probably watching it. Just find somewhere with Wi-Fi and just sit down and watch it. But yeah, big game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing my family. It's always great if they come to see me.
Few drinks as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. My mum's a big drinker.
Tyler?
Well, last weekend I went down to Hebden Town.
Yes.
Watched the
Should
FA
have
Cup
mentioned
Finals
that.
match against the City of Liverpool.
Do you want to mention the crowd trouble?
I mentioned the game first.
The game was excellent, wasn't it? But the crowd trouble was certainly the biggest news factor to come out of
Yeah,
the game.
even better. Yeah, the crowd trouble was mental.
What went on?
So, the City Liverpool fans have got a bit of a reputation for being avid drinkers
Ah,
and a
okay.
bit of a troublemaker. So right. But when they turned up, I think some of the City fans had a scrap with Hebden Town fans right in the
Right.
corner. Little scrap before even kick off. I was like, oh, this is going to be like a tone going into this game. There's 8 security guards at this ground, and it was about 1,302, I think, fans
God.
altogether. It was mental. The atmosphere was electric. 4-0 Hebden Town. Like, City of Liverpool were god awful, and they're unbeaten as well going into that game all season in the Cups and League. And as the both sets of fans are leaving, it just starts kicking off over the back end of this wall, and like cones and bottles are being thrown over it.
God.
The director of Hebden Town phoned the police, and so did a few locals as well, and the amount of police that showed up was ridiculous.
So you don't usually expect that in non-league football.
No.
Standard in Sunday League, though.
My God. There's about 10 marked cars. I saw at least 2 unmarked cars, a dogs unit and a riot van come down. And then when I was leaving, because the police wouldn't let me leave, they like cordoned it off for the players and anyone involved in the club, and like obviously families and shit.
Tyler.
So they cordoned it off, and as we're leaving, we see the coach come up the main road, and it's being escorted by police cars, with police on the bus, and the coach is beaten. There are windows put out. There were people, like, there must have been people on board with injuries as well, because they were going at some pace, and that was a mental weekend.
Need
was
to get
good
me sent to
though.
Hebden.
So a more low-key event this Saturday?
This Saturday I'm going away. I'm
Oh,
going
yes,
to
you're
south
going to-
of France. Yeah,
South of France.
south of France. Going to Nice.
Adam's off. 8 o'clock train to Shrewsbury.
Yep.
I hope it's miserable.
Thank you.
No, mate, enjoy it. And
6 wins, 6 draws after that.
hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about next week on the 3rd episode of the Thursday Free podcast. But guys, thank you very much for this, and we'll be back next week with a bumper edition and hopefully some listeners' questions for episode 3. Thanks for listening. Take care.